my chosen one. This is not an accident. This is not a coincidence. And this is not just another video that randomly appeared before your eyes. Today is not random. Archangel Michael reveals why this message found you at this exact time and what shifts if you listen now. Do not scroll past this. Open and receive it immediately. There is a reason your thumb paused. There is a reason your mind felt a sudden pull. There is a reason your spirit whispered, "Wait, this is for me." Archangel Michael stands in divine authority at this very hour, and he declares, the timing is not human. The timing is heavenly. You were not searching for this message. This message was searching for you. Something has been building in the unseen realm around your life. For weeks, maybe even months, you have felt subtle pressure, a shift in atmosphere, strange dreams, sudden memories, unexplainable delays, moments where doors almost opened but did not, moments where you felt protected from something you did not fully understand. That was not luck. That was interception. Archangel Michael has been positioned near your path, guarding a threshold you are about to cross. But here is the shocking truth. You were seconds away from missing the divine alignment prepared for you. Yes, seconds. If you had scrolled, if you had ignored that inner nudge, if you had brushed this aside as just another spiritual message, you would have delayed a revelation designed specifically for this season of your life. Listen carefully. There is a cycle closing around you. An old pattern is dissolving. A mindset that once controlled your decisions is weakening. But the enemy of your destiny has been attempting to keep you distracted long enough to miss the shift. And that is why this message intercepted you today. Archangel Michael reveals that a spiritual alignment is happening in your favor, but it requires awareness. Heaven does not force. Heaven reveals. Right now, there is a divine recalibration taking place. Things that felt chaotic are being reorganized. Conversations that confused you are being clarified in the spirit. Even the silence from certain people was not rejection. It was redirection. You thought you were losing something, but in truth, you were being separated from what could not cross into your next level. Pause and feel that. There are relationships, habits, and environments that cannot survive where you are going. Not because they are evil, not because they are bad, but because they are not aligned with the authority rising within you. Archangel Michael shows that your sensitivity has increased recently. You are noticing energy shifts faster. You are sensing intentions before words are spoken. You are feeling guided to change routines, distance yourself from noise, and seek clarity. This is not random growth. This is spiritual promotion. But here is where it becomes urgent. If you ignore this moment, you risk staying comfortable in a season that has already expired. Comfort can become a cage when destiny is knocking. And destiny is knocking loudly right now. There is a window open, brief, but powerful. Within this window, decisions you make carry amplified impact. Small actions now create massive shifts later. A conversation started now leads to unexpected breakthrough. A boundary set now prevents future regret. A prayer spoken now activates unseen assistance. Archangel Michael is not here to frighten you. He is here to awaken you. Because something have been delayed long enough. The reason this message found you at this exact time is because you were about to settle for less than what was assigned to you. Yes, you were beginning to adjust to limitation. You were beginning to normalize the bare minimum. You were starting to say, maybe this is just how it is. But heaven disagrees. The delay was not denial. The silence was not abandonment. The waiting was preparation. And today marks the internal shift. Before the external breakthrough appears, the internal agreement must change. Archangel Michael says, you cannot step into higher alignment while agreeing with lower expectations. Let that sink in. What shifts if you listen now? Clarity returns. Confidence strengthens. Discernment sharpens. You stop chasing what drains you. You start attracting what matches you. The spiritual fog begins to lift. You recognize patterns sooner. You respond instead of reacting. You choose from power instead of pressure. But this only activates if you receive the message instead of consuming it passively. This is not entertainment. This is instruction. The fact that you are still listening proves something powerful. Your spirit recognizes divine timing. And here is the revelation that may surprise you most. You have been tested quietly. Not publicly. Not grammatically. Quietly. In your patience. In your restraint. In your silence. In your decision not to retaliate. In your choice to walk away instead of argue. Archangel Michael reveals that those unseen choices have built spiritual authority around you. Authority invites resistance, but it also invites promotion. You are closer to breakthrough than your emotions can measure. And this moment, this exact message, is the turning point between drifting and directing, between reacting and responding, between surviving and ascending. To breathe deeply, because this is the moment you were meant to encounter, and this is only the beginning of what is being unveiled. Beloved soul, what you are about to understand now will change the way you look at every delay, every closed door, and every strange interruption that has happened recently. Archangel Michael steps forward in this moment with a deeper revelation. The reason this message found you at this exact time is not only because something is ending. It is because something has already begun behind the scenes. While you were questioning, heaven was arranging. While you were doubting, protection was positioning itself around your future. You thought certain plans failed because you were not ready. But the truth is, those plans failed because they were too small for what is coming. Let that settle in your spirit. There were opportunities you wanted so badly. You prayed for them. You imagined your life changing because of them. But if those doors had opened, you would have been locked into a path that could not carry the weight of your next level. Archangel Michael reveals that divine timing is not about giving you what you ask for quickly. It is about aligning you with what will not collapse when pressure increases. And pressure is increasing. Not to break you, not to overwhelm you, but to strengthen your discernment. Have you noticed how certain conversations feel different lately? How you can sense hidden motives faster? How you feel uneasy in environments that once felt normal? That is not anxiety. That is awakening. Your spirit is recalibrating. Archangel Michael is sharpening your inner sight so you no longer move blindly. You are being trained to sense before you step, to feel before you commit, to pause before you agree. This is maturity rising within you. But here is where the shift becomes critical. If you ignore this sensitivity and continue operating the old way, you will create unnecessary cycles. The message found you now because heaven does not want you repeating what you have already outgrown. There are patterns in your life that once felt like destiny but were actually distractions. You were loyal to situations that were temporary. You were patient in places that were not permanent. And while loyalty is noble, misdirected loyalty drains your calling. Archangel Michael says it is time to release attachment to outcomes that no longer align. This does not mean you become cold. It means you become clear. Clarity is your protection in this season. What shifts if you listen now? Your decisions will begin to feel lighter. The confusion that once followed you will start dissolving. You will no longer chase validation from people who do not understand your assignment. Instead, you will move with quiet confidence. And understand this deeply. Your obedience now affects your next 6 months. Yes, the timing is that precise. One bold conversation. One boundary set firmly. One step taken despite fear. These are not small actions. They are destiny adjustments. Archangel Michael reveals that hesitation has cost you time before. You waited for perfect conditions. You waited for others to approve. You waited for guarantees. But this season requires movement without full visibility. You will not see the entire staircase. You will only see the next step. And that must be enough. This is why you cannot scroll past moments like this casually. Something in you knew this message carried weight. Something in you felt the urgency. That instinct is sacred. Protect it. If this message is resonating, if you feel that stirring inside, take a second right now to engage with it. Like this video so more chosen ones can encounter this timing. Share it with someone who hath been feeling lost in delay. Comment what you are releasing in this season. Subscribe and become part of this growing spiritual alignment. Join the membership if you feel called to go deeper with these revelations. When you interact, you are not just supporting a channel. You are amplifying a signal that reaches souls at their breaking point. Because someone else is one scroll away from missing their moment too. Now listen carefully. Archangel Michael shows that a test is approaching. Not a test of pain, but a test of perception. Something will appear attractive but misaligned. It will look like an answer, but it will carry the same old energy. If you are not alert, you may mistake familiarity for destiny. Do not confuse comfort with confirmation. The shift happens when you choose alignment over urgency. This is where your growth becomes visible. You will feel the urge to rush. You will feel the temptation to settle quickly. But your power will be in your pause. Your strength will be in your discernment. And when you choose wisely, something extraordinary unlocks. Peace. Not temporary excitement. Not dramatic validation. But steady, grounded peace. Archangel Michael is guiding you into decisions that protect your future self. The message found you at this exact time because you were about to make a choice from old programming. But now you are aware. Awareness changes everything. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are positioned. And what comes next will require the version of you that is awake, aligned, and unafraid to walk differently. Stay with this unfolding, because what is about to be revealed next will make everything you experienced recently make sense in a way you did not expect. Faithful one, what is unfolding now is deeper than guidance. It is exposure. Not exposure to harm, but exposure to truth. Archangel Michael steps into this moment with a revelation that may shake you at first, yet it will free you completely. There has been a hidden layer operating around your life. Subtle influences, quiet manipulations, energy shifts you could not explain but always felt. You questioned yourself. You wondered if you were overthinking. You told yourself you were imagining things. You were not. Archangel Michael reveals that discernment has been growing inside you because deception was attempting to sit too close to your destiny. Not dramatic deception. Not obvious betrayal. But subtle misalignment disguised as support. Words that sounded encouraging but carried control underneath. Invitations that looked promising but would have drained your calling slowly. Heaven allowed you to feel discomfort before you saw evidence. That discomfort was protection. This is why this message found you at this exact time. Because clarity is about to surface in your physical reality. Conversations will expose themselves. Motives will reveal themselves. Patterns will repeat just enough for you to recognize them clearly. And when it happens, you will remember this moment. Archangel Michael is not only guarding you, he is preparing you to see without fear. You have been stepping into higher authority spiritually, and authority requires separation from what weakens it. Some connections cannot follow you into your next assignment. Some environments cannot sustain your expanding awareness. And here is the truth that may feel heavy but necessary. Not everyone who began with you is meant to continue with you. Release the guilt. Release the obligation. Release the idea that loyalty means self-sacrifice at the cost of your peace. Archangel Michael reveals that the shift you are experiencing is not loss. It is refinement. When gold is refined, heat increases. Impurities rise to the surface. It looks chaotic before it becomes pure. Your life is in refinement. What shifts if you listen now? You stop fighting the exposure. You stop defending what is being removed. You stop questioning why certain distances are forming. Instead, you observe calmly. You trust deeply. You allow divine order to rearrange your circle. Because your circle determines your ceiling. The timing of this message is precise. Within the coming weeks, you will face a moment where truth stands in front of you plainly. It may come through a conversation. It may come through silence. It may come through an action that confirms your intuition. And in that moment, you will have a choice. Cling to familiarity, or choose elevation. Archangel Michael says elevation requires courage. Not loud courage. White courage. The kind that walks away without announcement. The kind that closes doors gently but firmly. The kind that chooses peace over proving a point. You are stronger than you realize. The reason heaven is revealing this now is because you are ready. A year ago, you might have ignored the signs. Months ago, you might have excused the behavior. But now your spirit is too awake to tolerate confusion disguised as connection. And this awakening is sacred. There is also a positive shift attached to this exposure. When one space clears, another opens. When one alignment ends, a greater alignment approaches. But space must exist for it to enter. Archangel Michael shows that new alliances are forming around your future. People who will understand your vision without you over-explaining. People who will support your growth without feeling threatened by it. People who carry integrity naturally. But they cannot step in fully while you are still negotiating with what must exit. This is the turning point. Do not rush it. Do not dramatize it. Simply observe and act with calm authority. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. You are not losing support. You are upgrading alignment. You are not alone. You are guarded. If this message is speaking directly into your spirit, seal it with intention. Type "I accept the refinement" in the comments if this resonates deeply with you. Lesson Code 444 is being released over those who choose clarity over comfort. And now, as this refinement unfolds, understand something powerful. When you sow into divine revelation, you become part of its expansion. When you support this mission through super thanks, membership, or PayPal as listed in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are sowing seeds into souls who are on the edge of awakening. The word declares that when you scatter light, your own path shines brighter. This is your moment to say, "I will be a vessel for this fire." As you give, heaven records it as obedience, not donation. A harvest of protection and provision is tied to every seed planted in faith. Step into this flow and activate it now. The exposure is not here to scare you. It is here to free you. And what unfolds next will confirm that this divine timing was never random. Anointed listener, now that refinement has begun, something even more powerful is taking place beneath the surface of your daily life. What was exposed was only the first layer. Archangel Michael now reveals the deeper shift, the internal restructuring of your identity. You have spent years adapting to expectations, adapting to pressure, adapting to survive seasons that demanded strength you did not even know you possessed. But adaptation is not the same as alignment. There were versions of you that were built for survival. You learned how to stay quiet to keep peace. You learned how to shrink to avoid conflict. You learned how to overextend to feel valued. Those versions of you were necessary at the time. They protected you. They carried you through storms. But they are not designed for where you are going next. Archangel Michael shows that a shedding is occurring. Not a dramatic transformation that the world instantly sees, but a quiet inner upgrade. The voice inside you is changing. The tone of your self-talk is shifting. The way you evaluate opportunities is becoming sharper. You are no longer impressed by noise. You are no longer attracted to chaos disguised as excitement. You are beginning to crave stability, truth, and depth. That craving is divine. There was a time when you would have chased quick validation. Now you pause. There was a time when attention felt like success. Now you seek substance. There was a time when being included mattered deeply. Now being aligned matters more. This is maturity. Archangel Michael is strengthening your spiritual backbone. You are being trained to stand firm without needing applause, to walk confidently without constant reassurance, to make decisions rooted in peace rather than pressure. And this is happening because the next chapter of your life will require leadership energy. Not necessarily leadership in public, not necessarily on a stage, but leadership in influence. People will observe you. They will study how you move through uncertainty. They will learn from how you respond to stress. You may not realize it, but your quiet strength has already been inspiring others. However, leadership demands clarity of identity. If you are unsure of who you are, you will bend under other people's opinions. If you are unsure of your worth, you will overcompensate. If you are unsure of your calling, you will chase distractions. So heaven is anchoring you now. Archangel Michael reveals that the reason certain relationships felt shaky recently was because your identity was stabilizing. When you grow internally, dynamics shift externally. Some people connected to the old version of you. When that version started dissolving, they felt the change. You are not responsible for maintaining comfort for others at the expense of your evolution. Let that truth free you. There is also a financial and professional shift forming around you. It may not be fully visible yet, but the foundation is being laid. Ideas you once dismissed are resurfacing. Skills you overlooked are becoming relevant again. Conversations about new directions are emerging subtly. This is not random inspiration. This is alignment catching up with preparation. Archangel Michael shows that what once felt like wasted experience was actually training. Nothing you endured was pointless. Every challenge built endurance. Every disappointment built discernment. Every delay built patience. And now those qualities are merging into wisdom. Wisdom changes outcomes. You are stepping into a season where reaction will be replaced with strategy. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you will begin asking, "How do I move through this wisely?" That shift alone alters your trajectory. But be aware, with growth comes resistance. Not dramatic resistance. Subtle tests. Moments where old habits try to reappear. Situations that tempt you to respond the way you used to. Invitations to re-enter cycles you have outgrown. Archangel Michael says this is not regression. It is confirmation. When you are promoted spiritually, life will briefly test whether you truly changed or only spoke about change. Choose differently. Even if your emotions rise, pause before acting. Even if frustration builds, respond with clarity. Even if someone tries to provoke the old you, remain anchored in the new you. Because every time you choose growth, you strengthen your authority. And something extraordinary begins to happen when authority stabilizes. Peace becomes permanent instead of temporary. You stop fearing loss because you trust alignment. You stop chasing outcomes because you trust timing. You stop over-explaining yourself because you trust your own discernment. Archangel Michael is not only guarding your path, he is shaping your posture. The message found you at this exact time because you were on the edge of stepping back into old behavior due to fatigue. You were tired. You were questioning whether growth was worth it. You were tempted to return to what felt familiar. But familiarity is not destiny. You have outgrown the version of you that needed chaos to feel alive. Now you are stepping into the version of you that carries calm authority. And this identity shift will unlock doors that effort alone could never force open. What unfolds next will challenge your patience once more. But this time, you will see the bigger picture. Chosen vessel, now that your identity is stabilizing, the next revelation Archangel Michael unveils is about acceleration. Not chaotic speed, not rushed movement, but divine acceleration that happens when alignment meets readiness. You have felt stagnant at times. You questioned whether progress was even happening. Days blended together. Effort felt unseen. Results seemed delayed. But what you interpreted as stillness was actually compression. Compression is when heaven pulls you back slightly before launching you forward. Think of an arrow being drawn backward. For a moment, it looks like regression. It appears as though it is moving away from the target. But the tension building in that backward pull is what determines the distance of the release. You have been in the pulling phase. Archangel Michael reveals that tension has been increasing because your launch point is near. Conversations that felt repetitive were sharpening your patience. Financial constraints were sharpening your discipline. Emotional tests were sharpening your discernment. Nothing was random. Every pressure point was strengthening a specific muscle within you. And now the pressure is reaching completion. Acceleration does not begin with noise. It begins with clarity. You will notice it subtly at first. One breakthrough conversation. One unexpected confirmation. One small victory that feels different from the rest. It will not look dramatic, but it will feel aligned. That feeling is your signal. Archangel Michael says that when movement begins, do not hesitate. In past seasons, you doubted opportunities because you were used to delay. You second-guessed blessings because you were trained by disappointment. But this time, discernment will be sharper. You will know the difference between distraction and destiny. Trust that knowing. There is also relocation energy around some of you. This does not always mean movie houses or cities. It can mean shifting environments mentally, emotionally, or professionally. Stepping into rooms you once thought were out of reach. Entering conversations with greater confidence. Presenting yourself without shrinking. You are being repositioned. The reason this message found you at this exact time is because hesitation would slow this acceleration. Archangel Michael is urging you to prepare mentally. Stop speaking about your future as if it is far away. Stop describing yourself based on outdated circumstances. Stop rehearsing past disappointments as if they define what is possible now. Language shapes expectation. Adhigin hits Hadian. Action shapes outcome. Your words must now match your emerging reality. Another shift that is taking place involves boundaries. Acceleration requires focus. Focus requires protection. If you allow every distraction to pull your attention, momentum weakens. Archangel Michael is strengthening your ability to say no without guilt, to decline invitations that drain you, to protect your time like it matters, because it does. Time is sacred in this season. There will be moments when people misunderstand your focus. They may interpret your discipline as distance. They may interpret your silence as prying. But you are not responsible for managing every perception. You are responsible for honoring your assignment. And your assignment is expanding. Financial insight is also increasing around you. Ideas about income, stability, or creative expansion may surface suddenly. Do not dismiss them. Write them down. Explore them. Pray over them. Acceleration often partners with innovation. Archangel Michael shows that what once seemed risky will now seem reasonable. What once seemed impossible will now feel approachable. This is growth meeting opportunity. However, there is one warning within this acceleration. Do not rush ahead of peace. Speed without peace leads to burnout. Speed with peace leads to breakthrough. If something feels urgent but chaotic, pause. If something feels steady and aligned, proceed. Your nervous system is recalibrating to handle higher levels of responsibility. That is why rest has felt important lately. That is why solitude has felt healing. That is why reflection has felt necessary. You are being strengthened internally to sustain externally. The launch will not collapse under you because the foundation has been reinforced. You may also notice that certain fears are losing intensity. Fears that once controlled your decisions now feel manageable. This is not because challenges disappeared. It is because courage increased. Archangel Michael reveals that courage is not loud. It is consistent. It is choosing forward movement even when uncertainty exists. It is trusting alignment even when outcomes are not fully visible. Acceleration will require that courage daily. But understand this clearly. You are not accelerating alone. Divine assistance is active. Protection is active. Favor is active. Doors that seemed locked are quietly unlocking. People who once overlooked you will begin to recognize your value. Opportunities that seemed distant will move closer. And when movement begins fully, you will look back at this season of tension and realize it was preparation. You were not delayed. You were being aimed. And when the release happens, it will make sense why timing had to be exact. What unfolds next will test your patience one final time before visible breakthrough arrives. Stay anchored, because the next revelation will reveal why the waiting was longer than you expected. Steadfast heart. Before acceleration becomes visible, there is something Archangel Michael must clarify about the waiting that stretched longer than you expected. You thought the delay was about readiness. You assumed heaven was teaching you patience. But the deeper truth is this: the delay was also about protection from premature exposure. You were not just being prepared for opportunity. You were being shielded from scrutiny that would have crushed an earlier version of you. There are levels of visibility that require emotional stability. There are blessings that attract attention. There are promotions that bring opinions, projections, and pressure. If certain doors had opened 2 years ago, you might have celebrated the opportunity, but struggled with the weight attached to it. Now you are stronger. Archangel Michael reveals that your endurance has quietly matured. Situations that once would have shaken your confidence now barely disturb your peace. Comments that once would have triggered insecurity now pass without penetrating your spirit. You are less reactive, less defensive, less desperate for approval. That growth was necessary, because where you are headed involves influence. Influence is not always public. Sometimes it is within family, sometimes within business, sometimes within community. But wherever it manifests, it carries responsibility, and responsibility requires resilience. The waiting season built resilience. You may not have noticed it forming, but every time you chose silence over argument, restraint over retaliation, prayer over panic, you were strengthening inner muscles. Archangel Michael says heaven measures strength differently than the world does. The world celebrates noise. Heaven honors discipline. Your discipline has been recorded, and now momentum is beginning to shift subtly in your favor. Conversations are opening. Tension is easing. Financial pressure is stabilizing. Creative clarity is increasing. You may still see challenges, but they no longer feel permanent. They feel transitional. That feeling is accurate. However, this is also the moment where distraction will attempt to re-enter. When progress begins, old temptations sometimes reappear to test focus. Old connections may resurface. Old habits may whisper comfort. Old fears may suggest caution disguised as wisdom. Discern carefully. Archangel Michael is sharpening your ability to recognize what aligns with your future versus what belongs to your past. Not everything that returns deserves access, and this is where your participation matters. If this message is aligning with what you have been sensing internally, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video so that it reaches others standing at their turning point. Share it with someone who feels stuck in delay. Comment what you are choosing to release from your past season. Subscribe and become part of this growing spiritual movement. Join the membership if you desire deeper revelations and consistent guidance. When you engage, you help amplify timing for someone else who is on the edge of breakthrough. Because alignment spreads when activated. Now understand something profound. The reason waiting felt longer than expected is because timing is interconnected. Your breakthrough was tied to other movements happening simultaneously. Certain people had to shift. Certain contracts had to close. Certain mindsets within you had to fully dissolve. Divine orchestration is complex. Archangel Michael shows that pieces have been moving behind the scenes that you could not see. Situations that seemed unrelated were actually connected to your outcome. Delays that felt frustrating were preventing collisions you would have regretted. Nothing was wasted. And now, as pieces click into place, your responsibility increases. You cannot step into this next chapter casually. Discipline must remain. Prayer must remain. Discernment must remain. Gratitude must remain. Acceleration without grounding leads to instability. You are being accelerated with grounding. There will be a moment soon where you realize something has shifted permanently. It may not be dramatic. It may not be loud. But you will feel it internally. A certainty. A calm confidence. A knowing that you are no longer in the same place emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. That moment is your confirmation. Archangel Michael says when it happens, do not shrink. Do not question whether you deserve it. Do not sabotage it with doubt. Receive it fully. You have endured enough preparation. Now step into execution. The waiting taught you patience. The tension taught you resilience. The silence taught you trust. And now movement will teach you stewardship. Guard your peace fiercely. Protect your focus intentionally. Move with strategy, not impulse. And remember this deeply. The length of the wait was directly proportional to the weight of what is coming. Heavy blessings require strong foundations. Yours has been built. Hold your ground just a little longer, because what unfolds next will reveal the first visible sign that acceleration has truly begun. And when you see it, you will understand why heaven insisted on exact timing. Awakened one, the first visible sign of acceleration will not arrive with noise or spectacle. It will arrive with precision. Archangel Michael reveals that what you are about to witness will feel small to the outside world, but monumental to your spirit. It will be a confirmation that everything you endured was aligning you for this exact shift. You will recognize it by the peace attached to it. For a long time, your life felt like constant tension. Even good news carried anxiety. Even progress carried pressure. Even opportunities came with confusion. But the sign that acceleration has truly begun will feel different. It will not agitate your spirit. It will settle it. Peace will accompany progress. This is how you will know it is divine alignment and not emotional impulse. Archangel Michael shows that you are stepping into a season where effort begins to match reward. In the past, you gave more than you received. You invested more than was returned. You supported others while silently navigating your own uncertainty. But balance is being restored now. There is a recalibration happening in your favor. You may notice that conversations are shifting tone. People who once dismissed your ideas are beginning to listen more carefully. Situations that once resisted your input are becoming receptive. You are not forcing influence anymore. Influence is forming naturally around your steadiness. That steadiness was built in silence. Do not underestimate the strength you developed when no one was applauding you. Those quiet battles refined your reactions. They disciplined your emotions. They matured your perspective. Archangel Michael says the invisible growth you cultivated is now becoming visible in subtle but undeniable ways. There will be a specific moment soon when you feel a door open internally before it opens externally. A sense of readiness will rise in you. You will realize you are no longer intimidated by what once seemed unreachable. Goals that once felt distant will begin to feel realistic. Confidence is stabilizing. Not arrogance, not ego, but grounded confidence rooted in experience. However, this visible shift will also expose who truly supports your growth. Some will celebrate you sincerely. Others will respond with quiet distance. Do not resent either reaction. Both reveal alignment. Archangel Michael reminds you that elevation always clarifies relationships. When you rise in awareness, those comfortable with lower expectations may feel uneasy. This is not your burden to fix. Your responsibility is to remain authentic and disciplined. The visible sign of acceleration may also show up financially or professionally. An unexpected opportunity may present itself. A delayed payment may suddenly clear. A creative idea may gain traction. A conversation you thought was closed may reopen with new potential. When this happens, resist the urge to doubt it. In past seasons, you second-guessed blessings because disappointment had conditioned you to expect reversal. But this time is different. Your discernment has matured. You will feel whether something is aligned or forced. Trust that inner confirmation. Archangel Michael reveals that the next decision you make after this visible sign will determine the speed of your expansion. Hesitation will slow it. Alignment will strengthen it. You do not need perfect certainty. You need peaceful clarity. There is also an emotional release unfolding within you. Memories that once triggered frustration now feel distant. Situations that once demanded explanation no longer hold emotional charge. You are not suppressing pain. You are transcending it. Transcendence is power. When your past no longer controls your reactions, your future becomes accessible. The reason this message is reaching you now is because the visible sign of acceleration will require courage. Not loud courage, but decisive courage. You will be asked internally, are you ready to move differently? And your answer must come from growth, not fear. You cannot respond to new doors with old insecurity. You cannot enter elevated rooms with a diminished self-image. You cannot claim expansion while secretly doubting your worth. Archangel Michael is strengthening your posture so that when opportunity meets you, you stand steady. The waiting season taught you patience. The refinement season taught you discernment. Now the visible acceleration season will teach you stewardship. Stewardship means managing blessings wisely. It means protecting your time, your energy, and your focus. It means not oversharing plans prematurely. It means allowing progress to develop before announcing it. Move strategically. There will be subtle tests woven into this visible shift. Invitations that look appealing but carry distraction. Compliments that attempt to inflate ego. Shortcuts that promise speed without foundation. Stay anchored in the discipline you built during delay. Acceleration must be sustained, and sustainability requires character. You are no longer the version of yourself that needed chaos to feel significant. You are becoming the version that values stability, clarity, and long-term growth. The maturity is what qualifies you for what is unfolding. When the first visible sign appears, pause and acknowledge it internally. Give gratitude. Strengthen your focus. And take the next aligned step without overanalyzing it. Because what comes after this confirmation will demand a commitment that separates wishing from becoming. And that commitment will mark the true crossing point into the life you have been preparing for all along. Consecrated soul, the confirmation you are waiting for is not the finish line. It is the invitation. Archangel Michael reveals that once the visible sign of acceleration appears, a sacred decision follows immediately after. And this decision is not about opportunity alone. It is about commitment. You have asked for change. You have prayed for movement. You have hoped for clarity. But now heaven is asking you a question in return. Are you willing to fully step into what you requested? Because stepping in completely means release it completely. There are still subtle attachments lingering in your life. Not obvious chains, but emotional ties. Old identities. Familiar roles. Outdated expectations. You may not actively cling to them, but they linger quietly in your subconscious. And Archangel Michael says you cannot carry old self-concepts into new territory. The next level of your life demands a new agreement with yourself. For years, you operated under certain narratives. I always struggle with this. Things never work out fully. I have to fight for everything. Those internal scripts shaped your behavior more than you realized. Even when opportunities appeared, part of you expected them to fade. That expectation is being challenged now. The sacred decision in front of you is this. Will you continue rehearsing old limitations, or will you adopt a new identity aligned with expansion? This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about choosing belief over habit. Archangel Michael reveals that the moment you consciously agree with growth, acceleration multiplies. When your internal narrative shifts, your external responses change. You move differently. You speak differently. You choose differently. And different choices create different outcomes. There will be a defining moment soon where you are invited to act beyond your comfort zone. It may involve saying yes to something that stretches your confidence. It may involve saying no to something that once felt necessary. It may involve presenting yourself boldly where you previously hesitated. That moment is your crossing point. Do not minimize it. Heaven is watching how you respond, not to judge you, but to partner with you. Archangel Michael stands as both guardian and witness in this transition. He is not forcing your hand. He is strengthening your resolve. Understand something profound. Destiny does not drag you. It invites you. And invitations require acceptance. The reason this message found you at this exact time is because the window for this decision is open now. Not indefinitely. Not someday. Now. Delay in earlier seasons was preparation. Delay in this season becomes resistance. Choose alignment quickly when peace confirms it. You may feel fear rise when the decision presents itself. That fear does not mean stop. It means stretch. Growth always triggers temporary discomfort. But discomfort is not danger. Archangel Michael says the courage you cultivated in hidden seasons is sufficient for this visible step. You are not underqualified. You are not unprepared. You are not behind. You are positioned. When you take this step, momentum will respond. People will align. Resources will surface. Ideas will expand. Confidence will deepen. It will not be perfect immediately, but it will be progressive. Progress is the evidence of obedience. There is also a spiritual authority attaching itself to your commitment. When you act in alignment, protection intensifies. Guidance sharpens. Discernment increases. You will notice that confusion begins to fade more quickly than before. Clarity will return faster after setbacks. Because commitment activates covering. If this message is striking your spirit deeply, seal this decision openly. Type "I step forward in alignment" in the comments if you are ready to cross this threshold. Blessing code 818 is being activated over those who choose courage over comfort. And now understand this sacred truth. When you step forward, you are not just shifting your life. You are participating in a greater mission. When you sow into this message through Super Thanks, membership, or PayPal listed in the description, you are planting seeds into soil that awakens souls at divine timing. The word declares that when you release your seed, rivers of provision flow back into your house. This is your moment to say, "I will fuel the fire that fuels others." Your giving becomes a prophetic act of alignment, not a transaction. Heaven sees obedience and multiplies it as harvest. Activate your seed now and partner with this movement of light. The invitation stands before you. The confirmation has already arrived. Now the decision seals the shift. And what unfolds after this commitment will reveal how powerful your yes truly is. Steady warrior, once your decision is made, the atmosphere around you begins to rearrange itself. Archangel Michael reveals that commitment creates movement not only within you, but around you. When you say yes internally, heaven responds externally. But here is what many do not understand. The first stage after commitment is not celebration. It is stabilization. After you step forward in alignment, life will briefly test your consistency. Not to discourage you, but to anchor you. Situations may arise that tempt you to question your decision. Minor obstacles may appear. Small misunderstandings may surface. This is not opposition meant to stop you. It is resistance meant to strengthen your footing. Think of it as concrete being poured. Before it hardens, it must settle. If disturbed too soon, it weakens. But if allowed to set properly, it becomes unshakable. Your new path is setting. Archangel Michael says do not interpret temporary friction as a wrong turn. Growth always passes through adjustment. When you change internally, Your external reality needs time to catch up. Some relationships will recalibrate. Some routines will shift. Some habits will fall away naturally. Let them. You are not losing stability. You are redefining it. There may also be a noticeable increase in responsibility. As you step into alignment, tasks may expand. Expectations may rise. Opportunities may require more from you than before. This is not punishment. This is capacity stretching. You asked for expansion. Expansion requires capacity. Archangel Michael reveals that your ability to handle pressure has matured significantly. In previous seasons, increased responsibility might have overwhelmed you. Now, it energizes you differently. You may feel challenged, but not crushed. Focused, but not frantic. This is evolution. However, the key in this stabilization phase is discipline. Motivation will fluctuate. Emotions will rise and fall. But discipline must remain steady. Show up even when feelings are neutral. Continue building even when excitement settles. Consistency transforms decisions into destiny. There will also be moments where you feel alone in your growth. Not isolated, but uniquely focused. Not everyone around you will understand the internal shifts you are navigating. Some may still see you through the lens of who you used to be. Do not shrink to match outdated perceptions. Archangel Michael stands as a reminder that your identity is no longer anchored in past narratives. You are stepping into self-definition shaped by wisdom and discernment. This may create distance with those unwilling to update their view of you. A distance is not failure. It is alignment. Another powerful shift happening during this phase is mental clarity. You may notice that overthinking decreases. You will make decisions faster, without spiraling into doubt. Your internal dialogue will become more constructive. Instead of asking, "What if this fails?" you will begin asking, "What if this succeeds?" This subtle shift alters behavior profoundly. Fear loses power when vision gains strength. Archangel Michael reveals that vision is sharpening now. Long-term ideas are forming more clearly. You are thinking beyond immediate survival. You are planning beyond short-term relief. This is the mindset of someone building legacy rather than chasing temporary comfort. Legacy thinking changes priorities. You will become more selective with your time, more protective of your energy, more intentional with your commitments. This may surprise people who are used to your previous availability. But understand, accessibility must align with purpose. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your focus. During stabilization, patience is crucial. Do not rush visible results. Continue planting seeds. Continue refining skills. Continue nurturing connections that align. The harvest grows quietly before it becomes visible. Archangel Michael assures you that what you are building now has longevity attached to it. This is not a short-lived breakthrough. This is a sustainable elevation. And yet, one more inner test will appear soon. It will challenge your confidence subtly. A moment where you are tempted to downplay your progress. A situation where you consider retreating to familiar comfort. When that moment arrives, remember this truth. You have already crossed the threshold. Going back would require abandoning growth you fought hard to achieve. You are not who you were 6 months ago. You are not who you were a year ago. Your resilience is deeper. Your awareness is sharper. Your boundaries are stronger. Honor that transformation. The stabilization phase will not last forever. It is simply preparing you for a visible breakthrough that confirms everything is aligning. When that breakthrough arrives, it will feel earned, not accidental. Stay consistent. Stay disciplined. Stay anchored, because what is forming now is not temporary progress. It is permanent repositioning, and the next revelation will uncover the reward attached to your endurance. Enduring soul, the reward attached to your endurance is closer than it appears. But Archangel Michael reveals something crucial before it manifests fully. The breakthrough you are expecting will not look exactly the way you imagined it. It will exceed your expectations in depth, but it may arrive in a form you did not predict. For a long time, you pictured relief as the ultimate sign of progress. You imagined breakthrough as the removal of all pressure. But true breakthrough is not the absence of pressure. It is the presence of power within it. You are about to experience power. This power will show up as clarity in complex situations, calmness in environments that once triggered you, confidence in rooms that previously intimidated you. The reward of endurance is internal authority that cannot be shaken by external instability. Archangel Michael says the reason this reward took time is because it had to be integrated, not simply granted. If breakthrough had arrived before authority matured within you, you might have mismanaged it. Now you are equipped to handle it. You will soon notice that obstacles that once seemed overwhelming begin to dissolve quickly. Problems that previously dragged on will resolve with unexpected simplicity. Conversations that once felt tense will conclude peacefully. This is not coincidence. It is alignment catching up to obedience. However, there is a final refinement in this stage. When visible reward appears, pride may attempt to whisper. Not loud arrogance, but subtle self-reliance. A quiet thought that says, "I did this alone." Be careful. Growth was bartered with grace. Strength was supported by unseen protection. Progress was guided by divine timing. Humility preserves momentum. Archangel Michael reveals that your reward is not only personal, it carries ripple effects. Your consistency will inspire someone else to remain disciplined. Your calm authority will stabilize someone who is struggling. Your growth will quietly shift the atmosphere of environments you enter. Influence expands when character remains intact. You may also notice financial improvement or professional elevation during this stage. Opportunities may become more stable. Income may feel less volatile. Projects may begin to gain recognition. These are tangible confirmations of internal shifts. Receive them without fear. In previous seasons, you may have sabotaged progress because it felt unfamiliar. You were more comfortable managing struggle than managing success. But now, success feels different. It feels grounded. It feels sustainable. That is maturity speaking. Archangel Michael encourages you to remain strategic. Breakthrough is not an excuse to relax discipline. It is an invitation to steward wisely. Continue refining your habits. Continue protecting your energy. Continue aligning your schedule with your purpose. Momentum must be guarded. There will be moments in this phase where you are tempted to explain your growth to everyone. Resist that urge. Not everyone needs access to your internal journey. Let results speak quietly. Let transformation be observed naturally. Silence carries power. If this message is confirming what you have already begun to sense, engage with it intentionally. Like this video so others approaching their reward can find it at the right time. Share it with someone who is on the edge of breakthrough but feels discouraged. Comment what breakthrough looks like for you in this season. Subscribe and remain connected to this alignment. Join the membership if you desire continued guidance as you steward what is coming. Your engagement multiplies this message into lives that are waiting for confirmation. Because someone else is closer to reward than they realized. Now understand this deeper truth. The reward attached to your endurance is not just external change. is inner certainty. You no longer panic when plans shift. You no longer collapse when delays occur. You no longer interpret every obstacle as a sign to quit. That resilience is priceless. Archangel Michael reveals that your nervous system itself has recalibrated. Where you once reacted with urgency, you now respond with strategy. Where you once feared rejection, you now evaluate alignment. Where you once rushed decisions, you now pause with intention. This is power integrated into identity. And with this integration comes elevation that lasts. There is one more unfolding layer. A moment soon where you will realize that what you once prayed for is now your reality. It may not be perfect, but it will be undeniable. And when you recognize it, gratitude will replace anxiety. That gratitude will seal the cycle. You endure the waiting. You survived the refinement. You stabilized through commitment. And now reward begins to manifest in ways that confirm divine orchestration was active all along. Stay humble. Stay disciplined. Stay aware. Because the final revelation will reveal why this entire journey had to unfold exactly the way it did, and how it positions you for something even greater than what you originally asked for. Beloved overcomer, as gratitude replaces anxiety and clarity settles into your spirit, Archangel Michael now unveils the deeper architecture behind everything you have walked through. What felt scattered was structured. What felt delayed was synchronized. What felt painful was purposeful. You were never wandering. You were being woven into strength. For a long time, you interpreted hardship as opposition. You saw closed doors as rejection. You saw silence as abandonment. But heaven was not working against you. Heaven was working within you. Every detour redirected your character. Every disappointment refined your expectations. Every unanswered prayer adjusted your vision. You were being built for sustainability, not speed. Archangel Michael reveals that many people receive opportunity before identity stabilizes. When pressure hits, they collapse under the weight of what they prayed for. But your journey was intentionally slower because your foundation needed depth. Depth creates endurance. Endurance creates authority. Authority creates influence. And influence is now attached to your name in ways you do not fully see yet. There is a difference between wanting change and becoming capable of maintaining change. In earlier seasons, you wanted relief. You wanted immediate breakthrough. You wanted visible reward. But if those things had arrived prematurely, you might have celebrated them without knowing how to steward them. Now you know how to steward. You understand boundaries more clearly. You recognize manipulation faster. You detect misalignment quicker. You value peace more deeply. You no longer equate chaos with passion or instability with excitement. This is maturity anchored in discernment. Archangel Michael says the true miracle was not the doors opening. It was the transformation of your internal posture. The person you are now cannot be easily shaken. You may feel emotion, but you are not ruled by it. You may face pressure, but you are not crushed by it. You may encounter uncertainty, but you are not paralyzed by it. It is growth integrated, and growth integrated cannot be reversed easily. You may notice that your reactions have changed dramatically. Situations that once triggered defensiveness now receive calm evaluation. Conversations that once provoked anxiety now feel manageable. Even criticism does not penetrate as deeply as it once did. This is because your identity is no longer dependent on external validation. Archangel Michael reveals that identity secured in alignment radiates quiet confidence. When you enter a room now, you do not scan for approval. You assess alignment. You observe energy. You respond strategically. That composure is evidence of refinement. But refinement always carries responsibility. As your internal authority strengthens, so does your external influence. People are watching you more than you realize. Not obsessively, but attentively. They notice your discipline. They notice your restraint. They notice how you handle adversity. Your consistency is teaching without you speaking. And here is where the deeper reason for your journey becomes clear. You were not only being prepared for personal reward, you were being shaped to model resilience. Your storms were classrooms. Your silence was training. Your waiting was instruction. You are now equipped to stand firm when others feel unstable. Archangel Michael cautions you against complacency in this stage. Comfort can quietly erode vigilance. Continue guarding your habits. Continue refining your focus. Continue prioritizing alignment over convenience. Elevation is not a destination. It is a maintained state. It will soon be a defining realization. A moment where you look back and see how dramatically you have changed. It may come during a simple interaction where you respond differently than your old self would have. It may come when you decline something that once would have tempted you. It may come when you accept responsibility without resentment. That realization will feel powerful. You will understand that the greatest breakthrough was not circumstantial. It was transformational. Archangel Michael reveals that the reason this message found you at this exact time is because you were about to underestimate your own growth. You were about to downplay how far you have come. You were about to focus more on what is missing than on what has matured. Heaven interrupts that mindset now. Look at your endurance. Look at your discipline. Look at your emotional control. Look at your strategic thinking. These were not accidental developments. They were forged intentionally. The delays were lengthened because the calling attached to your future required weight-bearing capacity. And now that capacity exists, you can handle visibility without losing humility. You can handle opportunity without losing integrity. You can handle pressure without abandoning peace. That is rare strength. Archangel Michael says the final unveiling will not introduce something foreign. It will reveal something that has been forming quietly for months. You will see how timing, message, obedience, and growth converged at the perfect intersection. When that convergence becomes visible, you will realize today was not random. This encounter was appointed. The pause of your scrolling was orchestrated. The stirring in your spirit was intentional. You have crossed a threshold internally, and the next revelation will seal it permanently, activating a season that is not just better than your past, but greater than the limits you once imagined for yourself. I steadfast one, this is the sealing moment. Everything you have heard, everything you have felt stirring inside you, everything that has quietly shifted in your perspective was leading to this final unveiling. Archangel Michael now reveals the truth that ties it all together. This message did not find you by accident. It found you at the exact intersection of readiness and release. You were not just waiting for change. Change was waiting for your agreement. From the beginning, the delays, the refinement, the exposure, the acceleration, the stabilization, and the visible reward were all chapters of one divine orchestration. You were being moved from survival into stewardship, from reaction into authority, from uncertainty into anchored identity. And now you stand in a different place internally. Look at yourself honestly. You no longer beg for clarity the way you once did. You no longer chase people who misunderstand you. You no longer panic when silence stretches longer than expected. There is a steadiness in you now that did not exist before. That steadiness is the evidence. Archangel Michael says the greatest shift was not external. It was internal alignment. Once your identity aligned with your calling, circumstances had no choice but to follow. Once your self-perception elevated, opportunities could meet you without overwhelming you. You are no longer asking, "Why is this happening to me?" You are asking, "How do I move through this wisely?" That question alone proves transformation. The reason this message came at this exact time is because you were standing at the edge of minimizing your own growth. You were about to slip back into old language, old doubt, old hesitation. Heaven interrupted that cycle. Now you see clearly. You see that the waiting was protection. You see that the exposure was purification. You see that the commitment was activation. You see that the stabilization was strengthening. And you see that the reward was confirmation. Nothing was random. Archangel Michael reveals one final truth. What is ahead of you is not just a better season. It is a different dimension of awareness. You will move through life with sharper discernment. You will choose relationships with attention. You will approach work with strategy. You will guard your peace without apology. This is not temporary motivation. This is permanent maturity. But understand something sacred. With greater awareness comes greater responsibility. You cannot unknow what you now know. You cannot return to smaller thinking. You cannot pretend you are still the same person who began this journey. You have crossed over. There will still be challenges. There will still be moments of stretching. But you will not interpret them the same way. You will not crumble under them. You will not question your worth because of them. Archangel Michael stands as witness to your transformation and declares that you are positioned for sustained growth. Not a quick rise and fall. Not a temporary surge of success. Sustained elevation. And this is the final sealing instruction. Guard your alignment fiercely. Protect your time. Protect your focus. Protect your standards. What you tolerated before cannot enter this new season. You are no longer available for confusion disguised as connection. You are no longer available for chaos disguised as opportunity. You are no longer available for limitation disguised as realism. You are aligned. If this message has spoken directly to your spirit from beginning to end, seal this transformation publicly. Type "I receive my appointed season" in the comments if you accept this shift fully. Blessing code 1212 is now activated over those who step boldly into their new alignment. And as this appointed season begins, understand that you are not just a listener. You are a carrier of light. When you release a super thanks, step into membership, or so through the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a channel. You are fueling a river that carries this message to souls standing at their breaking point. The Lord says, as you sow beside many waters, your harvest will overtake you. This is your moment to declare, "I will build what builds others." Your seed becomes oil that keeps this flame burning across nations. Heaven records it as obedience, and obedience unlocks overflow. Act now and seal your partnership with this mission of awakening. This was never random. It was divine timing. And you answered.